Welcome. Okay, sorry, it was some poor connection. Yes, in few seconds we are going to invite Sonya and we will start our chat. For joining everyone. It's so great to be here once again with you.
Hi,
Hello, Sonya. Welcome. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here with us today. We are going to wait for some more people to join in. Then we
Yeah,
will
of course.
start. Yeah,
Yeah.
and despite the tier 5, we know you are pretty busy, and we really appreciate for giving us this chance to have an interview with you. So, how are you? How is everything?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm just finishing my final chapters for my book today. I went out for a nice walk in London. I had a great breakfast and lunch. So I'm really having a good Friday. What I've realized is that I'm going to try and take my Friday slow and start the weekend early, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, I know you are very busy, and today the weather is amazing, so it's really good to go for a walk or run. It's really nice. So
Yes,
I just
London has done very well today. It's very sunny and I'm really blessed. I live right in the center of London, so I have all the sights around me and I just walk to them every day.
Wow, perfect. Yeah. So it looks like we can start if you are ready.
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Ecem Bocan, one of the co-founders of luxury sleepwear brand Bocan. As you know, in honor of Women's History Month, we have been interviewing some inspirational female leaders who are at the top of their own industries. We had the pleasure to meet Angelica Malin and Cleo Pierre, and today I'm very excited to have the opportunity to speak to award-winning entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, independent diversity consultant, and author Sonya Barlow. Wow. Yeah. So let me introduce this precious woman more detail to you. Sonya is the founder of Like-Minded Females Network, whose aim is to help to educate and elevate underrepresented individuals in the workplace. She has just released her first book, Unprepared to Entrepreneur, and was also named winner of the most influential woman in tech UK, woman in software changemaker, top 50 BAME entrepreneurs under 50, and Marie Claire future shaper. So we have many things to talk.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so many things to talk about.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us again. And could you tell our audience a little about yourself and your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am of Pakistani heritage. I came to the UK when I was 4. So I'm a first immigrant child generation growing up in the UK. Come from a fairly working class background. My parents were hustlers, as are most, I think, parents that come to the UK for their kids and for a better future. I grew up with, luckily, a very supportive family who I see are online this live now, and was always given a voice and was always told to have an opinion, which I've carried through very well in my everyday life. But from a very young age, I realized that there were a lot of inequalities in the world. And I think I saw that based on my experience of growing up in West London and then obviously being able to go to university, come out with my own sense of privilege and work in the corporate sphere. But most importantly, I think what you need to know about me is I'm extremely ambitious.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to go out and grab something and go for it. And I think a lot of that comes down to a very positive and healthy upbringing which I've had, which I can only thank my family for, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's obviously they are very supportive to you. I read some articles of yours, and You know, there are really nice tips of your moms. It's really nice because also my role model is my mom, and also being connected with the family. I think you feel just safe, and you know, you can do whatever you want when you have their support. Actually, yeah,
Absolutely. And I think for my parents at least, a lot of what I'm doing so that they don't have to worry, but equally so we can make those differences, make those changes, and we can show them a different life. I think my parents were very young when they had kids,
yeah,
growing up in Pakistan, and then they came to the UK, and again they were looking after four kids, a household, managing, navigating different cultures, and of course, like many of us who may be here today, it's really difficult to know, are you Western? Are you Eastern? Are you Southern? Where do you fit in? What how do you identify and how do you grow up? But my mum is my biggest cheerleader in that sense. So, all the TED Talks I've been on, she's come on by. My siblings have probably, they can quote everything I'm saying to you themselves, because I've walked around the house with, like, headphones on, and I'm always talking to people about the workshops.
yeah,
And I think, to your point, I'm very blessed to have a really strong upbringing. But at the same time, I appreciate that it's not a normal upbringing, especially coming from a Pakistani heritage. So I want to be able to use my voice, my opinion, um, my knowledge to help those that maybe don't have their own voices, but equally don't necessarily have that sense of community or family that one may need, because not everybody does. And I
yeah.
guess that's what I try and do through my many initiatives, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I'm very blessed to be in this position.
Yeah, and really very inspirational for too many young women, I think. So we wonder, how did you come by the idea for your platform, Like-Minded Females? What gave you the inspiration to start something like this?
Yeah, such a great question. And if I'm being really honest with everyone here, it came from a really bad place. So one of the
Yeah,
things I say is that bad places make for great ideas. It came from a really bad place. I was between my first and second role in the corporate world. I left my first role. You expect a lunch, you expect a dinner, you expect a leaving card. I got nothing. I was there for 2 years. So I left without community, and I definitely left without friends. But I realized that that's not normal, especially when you're working and you work in a big office. So I found myself being really upset and kind of maybe depressed and lonely. And I thought, I can't actually feel worse than this. But also, equally being in London, things are really expensive. And I went to go find a few places to meet people and to network, and it was so expensive. And I thought, I don't have that kind of money. And, normal people don't have that kind of money. We shouldn't be paying to meet people. I think that defeats the whole purpose of community and network and technology.
yeah.
So I walked out of a networking meeting. I was super upset, super frustrated. I reactivated my LinkedIn, and this was May 2018, and I created a group on LinkedIn, invited my 100 connections. I was like, we're just going to talk about careers and confidence, and we're just going to help each other. 2 weeks later, I got super excited. I was like, right, I'm going to host a brunch, and it's going to be sick. Like, we're going to, for those, obviously sick being slang, so it's going to be amazing. And so I walked into that brunch event. 12 people said they were going to come, and no one came.
No.
No one came. So it was just me and my friend, and I just sat there crying. And, I got treated to ice cream afterwards, and I was like, wow, nobody wants to be my friend. Like, what is happening? But what I realized, I took a sense check and stepped back and realized, look, I made an event, but no one knows who I am. The Like-Minded Females brand, nobody really understands it because we don't have clarity. And three, I need to give people more confidence for them to understand why they're coming, right?
Yeah,
Why would you go and meet a group of strangers for brunch or for a workshop or for a business meeting? And kind of, I'm very, very grateful in saying that one idea has now evolved into a social enterprise. We're one of the largest communities to come out of the UK. We have over 35,000 in social following, despite our Instagram being hacked, our website being hacked. We have launched the largest mentoring program in the UK with over 600 participants in 14 countries. And we have a chapter in Toronto led by our Toronto founder. But I think the most exciting thing is we've never paid for advertising. I've never sponsored an ad. I don't know how to use digital marketing like that.
Yeah, it's all organic then, you know.
Everything is
First,
organic.
I think it's the best marketing because, and it shows that you are really good what you do, good at what you do. You are sincere, you know, you have a goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there is not any marketing tool which can compete with that. And congratulations.
Thank you. And I think what most people don't know is it was never meant to be a business. It was just meant to be a brunch. I didn't form it to launch anything. I just wanted friends. That's literally all it was. And I wanted to talk to people about, as a woman in tech, how do I go to my next role? How do I negotiate a salary? How do I overcome imposter syndrome? It was all of these topics. The business side of things just actually naturally grew out. So, you know, in 2 years, I've gone from working for someone to working for myself. And I've become an entrepreneur and I run 2 businesses. And I'm obviously, you know, very blessed to be very successful at a young-ish age. But I want to be living proof that if I can do it, everyone can. And that's my motto or my message.
Yeah, and at least you start and you, I mean, you didn't give up on your first experience, you know, really, it's something. And so, how is it like to run a business during the global pandemic now?
So difficult. If anybody tells you otherwise, then they're doing something that I'm not. When I decided to become an entrepreneur or launch a business, it was Jan 2020. So it wasn't too long ago. That was when I decided to become full-time. And then obviously in March, COVID hit. So in March, 75% of my income was wiped out. And in April and May, I had 0 revenue. So we had no money. At the same time, the LMF network converted into a charity. So we made it a not-for-profit. And I launched my own diversity consultancy. So I've only had my own consultancy since 12 months ago, since March 2020. But despite the pandemic, I guess what it taught me was 1, work on your personal brand, 2, lean into your community, 3, use Instagram and LinkedIn where you can. And since then, in 2020, I've designed and delivered over 200 workshops, won 4 awards, and obviously signed a book deal. So it's worked.
Yeah, amazing, really. You have done all this in a year and
Yes.
this global pandemic. So, you know, if you want, I mean, there is not any excuse actually.
I don't think there is an excuse. And I think one thing we all have to realize is we can launch businesses from the side of our bed. We just need to know why we're doing it. Why I did it was I left a workplace in which I was bullied. So I went through workplace bullying twice, and twice in 2 years. And I didn't feel like I was ready to go back to that. I didn't feel like my heart wasn't mended, basically. I was quite raw from the experience. And so I had a discussion with my partner and my family, and we decided, look, if you want to give this a go, whatever this is, we've got 12 months. And that was before the pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit, I think that just fueled me even more because I realized people don't have resources. They don't have education. You know, many of us are being asked to educate ourselves at home. We've had, in the UK at least, we've had 1.6 million job losses. That's quite a large number of people that don't have jobs. Over 700,000 people don't have technology. Young people as students are being damaged by the system. And so I guess it just fueled me even more to do what I already always believed in, was to try and lead initiatives and give back. And this is for no other reason than I remember being or feeling like an outsider and not knowing what to do. And especially when you go from university to your first workplace, you don't know how to write an email, you don't know how to enter the door, you don't know how to be a good employee, you just do what you're doing. And I guess my point was, what's the worst that can happen? Because the worst has already happened. I have no job and I have no money. You can't actually get lower than this, if that makes sense. But what I can do is I can use my experience, my expertise. I can lean onto social media. I can lean into my community, and I can keep doing what we're doing. And So it goes back to your point of, one, it's resilience, and two, I don't identify failing as a mistake. I identify a failing as a stepping stone. So I was like, right, well, that route didn't work. Let's try another route. What's the worst that can happen? And I think that's just where my mind goes. And the worst is it doesn't work out. Okay, but you've learned a ton of skills, or you've made some new friends along the way.
Yeah, you are connecting, you know, you are gaining more experiences. Yes. And as a versatile business coach and motivational speaker, have you seen any real changes since you embarked on your career?
Yeah, I love that question. Absolutely. Today, we're obviously talking about International Women's Month. We're talking about gender equality. We're making a real, we're shining a real light on the inequalities that still exist, be that as women or, you know, other diverse candidates through an intersectional lens. 3, 4, 5 years ago, it wasn't so much of a conversation. It wasn't that deep. You know, even 2 years ago, working in the corporate world, I don't remember celebrating International Women's Day. I don't remember it being a big deal. And so I definitely think that we are making movement. We are understanding what the realities are for many people. We are using social media to share information. And so I think that's the biggest change is we can call companies out. And I don't mean cancel culture. I mean, we know when companies are lying. We know when people are lying. We know when there's false news. And so it's given a lot more power to the consumer. And lastly, diversity and inclusion is so important because the last 12 months have just proven, even this whole week has proven, that there are bad people in the world that want to do bad things to other people, right? So how do we solve that? How do we make people feel like they belong? Because I guess, in my opinion, it's a human rights issue. We all belong on this planet. Why do we not feel like we're belonging, or that we can exist, or that we can be ourselves? And so to answer your question, yes, I absolutely think it's changed. Do I think it's changed fast enough? No. But that's why we have to have conversations like this. That's why everyone that's listening has to do something, has to pledge.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to firstly think about ourselves. Like, what am I doing as an individual? Before I point fingers to you, what am I doing? How am I getting better? And then I can come and help you. And I think that's the change that we are seeing, and we will carry on seeing. And kind of, you know, not to say the least, but the data is there. The data has shown us that actually COVID has impacted women more than men. Domestic violence has increased by 30%. Young professionals, especially girls, are not being put through education because they are going through tech poverty, or they don't have the resources or tools. Okay, what do we do about that? Because fundamentally, if we don't help people today, it's only going to impact us as a society moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And also, I think, you know, change are something inevitable. So we need to adapt, and we need to use this social media more
Yeah,
for sharing, actually finding the solutions, as you said. And for me, it's my second experience to do this live talks, because you know I'm not that kind of person actually. But I felt like, okay, we are passing through something, and we need to be there, and we need to share our experiences, ideas. We need to be a channel to, you know, you are sharing really nice experiences, informations with us. And I'm feeling so lucky to be here with you and having this interview. So I mean, we need to adapt
absolutely.
changes so quickly, actually. And yeah,
I mean, it doesn't feel like it's your first time. And if
my,
anything,
but
it doesn't feel like it's your second either. You're doing so well. And if anything, we only grow when we come out of our comfort zones, right? And that's
yeah,
called
and I
evolution.
love that.
Absolutely. And that's evolution. So the same way that you obviously have this amazing boutique and this amazing range, every season you have a new style come out. You have you know, your brand evolves, your designs evolve. In that same respect, as people, we evolve. When we make a mistake, it's just a mistake. When we fail, we're just temporarily disrupted from the path we're meant to take. We have to think about ourselves as constantly evolving, as upgrading. And that's how I think of it. I think if we were businesses, we would say we're upgrading. And that's what we're doing. We're upgrading, we're evolving, we're moving forward. And so that's how we need to think of this, right? If it wasn't for the pandemic, equally, I probably wouldn't have been on social media so much, or used my personal brand, or understood why it's important. I think that why is so important. And the why is because you're able to show people what drives you, what your purpose is, what excites you, but also you're able to learn a lot about yourself. So a great example being every weekend, I go through my social media and I unfollow people, not because I don't like them, but because they're making me feel unhealthy. And I don't want that when I go online.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want toxic people around you. I know. I went over your articles and I really liked them. Yeah. And also, I would like to talk about your first book, Unprepared to Entrepreneur, is now available for pre-order. And I just want to congratulate on your first book, which I genuinely believe that you will bring out more. And I think you are on the second one, actually. Right?
So I'm still on the first one. I'm already thinking about the second one. But yes, it's finally on Amazon, which is amazing. So just some context behind that. Hopefully my editor's listening, and if not, you know, big shout out to Kogan Page. Last summer during the pandemic, just before the summer came through, I started a podcast called Strategically Winging It. And I guess winging it as a term, especially in the UK, is you're just trying something. And strategically, I think there's a process. And what I meant by that is I wasn't born to be a business person, if that makes sense. No one is born to be an entrepreneur. No one is born into business. No one knows the skills when they're kids, or exactly. It's something that you grow into. It's something you learn. And what I realized was that when I started my business and when I was entrepreneuring, because obviously now I have two businesses, I didn't really know what to do. Not how to do, but what. There was no guidebook to say, now you've launched a business, these are the steps you take. The first thing is get your, business model intact. The second is understand your value. The third is, do you have a website? Do you have a social media brand? Actually, your funding, your financing, your growth, your team don't come until the end. People don't tell you that. I registered a business and changed it 3 times as a model in a year because I did it wrong. And that cost me more money than I made. And so Unprepared to Entrepreneur is fundamentally that. It's a digestible take, and it's a handbook on, if you don't know how to start a business, what do you do? Like, what do you do? How do you do it? Who are some leading examples? And I think more importantly, it was to share the stories of people that don't look like the majority on TV. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired of seeing the same kind of person launching a business on media, in the news, in articles, and none of it's attainable. I don't come from wealth. I don't have inheritance. I don't have a big house that my family sold so I could do a down payment. You're hustling. I have 2 jobs, 3 jobs, a side hustle, a passion project. How do I make that into something sustainable? And so we have over 20 interviews in the book who are from just normal, ordinary people doing extraordinary things who have taken a leap of faith. And that's so important. And one of the biggest learnings is how to use social media and digital platforms to launch your business. Because actually it's so easy, like we mentioned before, to launch a business from your bed, right? And the new generation, they're very fluid in their thinking. What that means is they don't need to be hired by a company. They can create money by being on Etsy or Depop, or launching their own business, or freelancing, or having a diverse income stream. How do we make that sustainable for them and for you? And how do we all become business owners? Because one, that makes us independent, but 2, you learn a lot faster running your own business than you probably will working for somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. Because you will have your own experiences. You will, it's like case studies. I think all projects of your business they're all like case studies. Yes. And yeah, I really can't wait to read it, really.
I'll send you it when it comes, don't worry. You can pre-order it now. It's on Amazon, but it comes out in October. So I'll invite you to the launch party. Don't you worry about that.
I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to meet face to face and share this, enthusiasm together. Yeah. And also, so what advice would you give to young ladies at the start of their own business?
Fail.
Fail.
Fail as fast, as smart, as kind as you can. It's better to fail at the beginning of your business than it is towards the end, or when you have real income or real responsibilities or mouths to feed. The point is, as I mentioned, many people don't know, but the Like-Minded Females, which is now the LMF network, so at LMF network, we were hacked. Sorry, our Instagram was hacked and blocked in just before January 2020, which meant that we lost like nearly 5,000 to 6,000 following, even before there was a boom in Instagram. We started from scratch. I'm glad that happened when I only had 5,000 following and it wasn't a business, rather than having 80,000, 50,000, a million, and then it completely losing.
Yeah.
Right? A second one being, again, we spoke about our website. Actually, at the beginning of this year, our website was an auto renew, and unfortunately my card wasn't working. So in that moment that it was an auto renew and the card wasn't working, a robot bought our domain. It's now being sold for £10,000 on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, that I don't have £10,000. I'm not paying for a new domain. And so we went from Like-Minded Females to LMF network for also that reason. We made it more inclusive. We made it more representative. But equally, I would have rather known that in the beginning of my business than be successful for 20 years and then not have a website domain and have to redirect all my customers. So my advice to everyone is fail fast, fail kind, fail smart. But don't be afraid to fail, because failure is the only way that you're going to learn. You're going to iterate, you're going to evolve. And the quicker you do it, the better you become at what you're doing. And I guess that's why in a short amount of time that I've had social media and a business, and obviously these conversations, I've been very successful in a short amount of time because I failed so much at the beginning that I'm now able to understand that there needs to be a B, a C, a D plan before I do anything moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, I like what you said. Fail smart, fail. Yeah, you need to write some articles. I like it. Yeah. So moving to other question, being an influential and successful woman in tech, how do you feel about navigating a male-dominated society?
So I think it's such a great question, because I think what we have to understand is a lot of our society is going to be male dominated. It's not new, is what I'm trying to say. Historically 30, 40, 50 years ago, it was the men who were working and it was the women that were at home.
Yeah.
Right? So when you think about it, we can't change history. 10, 15 years ago, it was majority men working, the women were at home. And especially when you come from a non-Caucasian background, that was the case. So what I'm trying to say is we can't change the fact that it is predominantly a male-dominated society. Our leaders are male, the heads of companies are male, our managers are male, for example. But what we can do is, what we can change is the way that we define our culture, our business values, what we think is good, what we think is bad, and also how we address ourselves. When I worked in corporate, I didn't realize it was heavily male dominated until people started telling me it was. And they started putting all these labels on me. And I think there was a point where I felt like an imposter. So I felt like I had to live up to these labels and I couldn't be myself. But I took a step back and realized, am I an imposter? Is it a male dominated society? Or am I just not realigning my skills to my strengths and my everyday work? And the point I'm trying to make there is, it will be a male dominated society. The world is changing, but not changing fast enough, at least for the next, the UN tells us that it will take another 100 years before we have equality from a gender perspective. There's still a lot of time to wait. I personally can't wait. And so what I've done is, you take things into your own hands. The work culture that I've created for my own business, it's flexible, it's not micromanaged, it's diverse, it's representative. I'm looking for every type of person and personality to come through the door. Companies, if they want to mitigate that male dominance. They have to allow for different types of people and personalities through the door. They have to change their policies so they can recruit without being biased. They have to go out of their top 10 privileged zones and attract audiences that they wouldn't normally attract. But equally for me, and it goes back to one of the first points I've made, I've understood that I'm meant to be here. I walk into a room and I don't think, oh, this is full of men that I can't talk to. I walk into a room and think, you're a CEO, I'm a CEO. The only difference is you probably have £5 million in the bank. I probably have 50K in the bank. The difference is you've had 50 years of experience. I have 5 years.
Yeah.
But we're the same status, we're the same level. And it's a whole new generational shift. So to answer your question, I guess I'm not bothered that the world is male dominated, because I definitely think we need males on our side as allies to help us, to open doors, to give us opportunity. And if you know me and if you've heard my stuff, most of the time it's the men in my life that help me. I have an amazing partner, for example. It's a lot of the help I get is from him, because he gives me new perspective as I can give him new perspectives too. My brothers have helped me, my father's helped me. So actually a lot of the time it is the males that also do help. But what we need to do as women, or gender fluid or non-binary individuals, is we need to stop thinking of it as, oh, it's male dominated, and start thinking of it as, what are my skills, what are my strengths, how can I elevate them, what opportunities align to what I'm already good at, and how can I help change the culture from the bottom up? How can I go to leadership and say, look, if you do something different, this is what it's going to help you with in terms of business, products, productivity. We talk a lot about businesses. Businesses' main KPI is money, right? Actually, if you have more diverse teams and bring in more women into your team, you can increase your profits by 23%. So why would you not want to? Let the data speak for itself. We need to stop using our emotional brain and start using our logical brain, regardless of what gender you are, and think linear and think, how is this going to help me meet the end goal, whatever my goal is?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think really one of the best things nowadays, data are measurable. So as you said, yes, we can, live the emotional aspect, and we can focus, and everybody will more happy actually in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I also totally agree with you about what you're saying. It's not a problem. It's being a male-dominated society. Actually, it's how to react, or how you can.
It's how you navigate. Absolutely, it's how you navigate. But if you flip it, right? Actually, if we talk about working from home, we know that mothers who are predominantly carers had more responsibilities. We already know that. But we also have to understand and appreciate that, especially if I just talk on the UK, in general, fathers only get 2 weeks paternity. That's not fair. As a society, we're assuming that fathers don't want to spend time with their kids. We're assuming that men can't be nurses. We're assuming that men don't want to stay at home. We're assuming that men can't earn less than their, wives. So as a society, it's a two-way street, and we have to evolve in our mindsets and our areas of, discomfort, and also allow for new practices. What I personally am really tired of hearing is, this is a man's role, this is a woman's role. Absolutely not. What we need to focus on, masculine traits and feminine traits. Those are different. Masculine and feminine traits aren't defined by your gender. They're how you are as a personality. They're how you are as a unique individual. So if you have more feminine traits, it means you are higher in emotional intelligence. It means you are more empathetic. It means you listen. That doesn't mean you're a woman. It just means you have feminine traits. And actually, feminine traits, emotional intelligence, creative thinking, critical thinking, empathy, listening skills, these are the skills of the future, right? Masculine traits are logic, data, practical advice. Of course, those are just as important as well. So I think we just need to shift our behavior and learn how to navigate. But most importantly, one of the reasons why I founded LMF Network is so if you don't have the confidence yourself, you can come and we can give you the tools, the framework, the resources, the support to build your confidence, to enhance your capability, and fundamentally to achieve your goal, whatever that may be. We want to help you in that, because I completely appreciate I am an anomaly. I don't know many people that are maybe as confident in walking into a room full of men as much as I am. But that's because I've been raised to not know the difference. I've been raised to know that I am me and I'm capable.
Yeah.
Go and prove your worth is what I've been taught to do.
Yeah. So, you recently provided some great tips about how to overcome imposter syndrome. Is this something that you have ever suffered from?
Absolutely. 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 Who hasn't been an imposter? Um, yes, so imposter syndrome, for those who don't know, is a psychological phenomenon where you feel like you're a fraud. So a great example being, I jump on this live and I think, why am I being interviewed? I shouldn't be here. There's people that are better than me. You go to your, first day of your new job, whatever that may be, and you think, I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve this. People are smarter than I am. You ask you don't necessarily ask for help. You focus on what you haven't done. What many people don't realize is that there's 5 different types of imposters, according to research done by Dr. Valerie Young. There's the perfectionist, there's soloist, natural genius, superhuman, and the expert. So the point I'm trying to make is many people just think, oh, I'm an imposter, but you have to go into what kind of imposter are you? And so therefore, what tactics are relevant to you to solve your problem and to solve your kind of psychological barrier, may that be. And imposter syndrome seems to be such an important topic right now, everywhere, across every social platform, across
Yeah.
every article. But I guess if I was devil's advocate, a lot of it is women are imposters, but actually everyone's an imposter. It's just
Yeah.
a lot of the conversation or association with imposter syndrome comes down on a gender, but actually men are imposters too. They just don't have that term like drilled into them as much as we do. 66% of women are imposters, 86% of millennials, over 50% of men, but none of them, or not, sorry, not none of them, majority of them don't know what imposter syndrome is. And to answer your question, yes, I felt like an imposter. I felt like an imposter when I tried the first LMF brunch. I felt like an imposter when I jumped on my first Instagram live last year. I felt like an imposter when I went into the world of tech, and unfortunately I was often told that I wouldn't progress or I'm not technical enough. But what I realized, and I wrote about this on LinkedIn actually, was, am I an imposter or are you making me feel like one? What I
Yeah.
realized was I'm not an imposter. I've just had bad managers and bad colleagues who have told me something that I shouldn't believe in. And so a lot of imposter syndrome comes back down to you taking a step back to reflect on what's your measure of success, to reflect on what's your goal, what's your purpose, why are you doing what you're doing, and then to also consider, we spoke about this earlier, are you surrounding yourself with toxic people that are making you believe you're an imposter? Are you misaligning your skills so you believe you are one? Because I have to admit, in the last year, I think I've maybe felt like an imposter 3 times compared to 3 years worth of being like an imposter every day when I was
Yeah.
working in the corporate sector.
Yeah. And one day you said enough, and then you, yeah, built your own business.
I said
Yeah.
enough because, so maybe you've read it and I'm not sure, but I wrote for the Telegraph a couple of weeks ago and I spoke about workplace bullying. And so I said enough is enough because I had suffered so much in my workplace that I was on sick leave for 5 weeks and I was mentally exhausted and I was not looking after myself. So I think that's what I mean. Like, it's all come from a bad place, but I think when you're in a bad place, it makes for not only a great story, but it makes for a great evolution. And that's the time where you have to realign and think, I'm 28. I have another like 80 years to live. I want to
Yeah.
enjoy them, right? That's fundamentally what it's come down to is if the pandemic's taught us anything, it's we want to enjoy life and we don't want to be overworked. And I mean, this instant form of like gratification and always getting things perfect, that doesn't exist because that's not the reality. And if we think we're trying to get everything perfect, we'll never try. And so we'll never evolve. And I guess, it goes in a full loop.
Yeah. And okay, moving to other question then. Why do you think we as women tend to suffer from a lack of confidence in the workplace and within business? Actually, this is a bit related the other question, male
Yeah, of
dominated.
course.
So it's I think it's not about genders. It's another matter of genders actually.
No, I mean, in my personal perspective and also through our community, it's a number of reasons. One is because you don't see yourself. So if you don't see a woman in a position like you sometimes don't believe that you can get there. And I remember when I was younger, I never saw brown girls in front of covers or leading businesses or, on TV. I was like, wow, I didn't know this is something we could do. The second is because we don't necessarily invest in mentoring the same way that we should. Having a mentor is so important. And mentoring shouldn't be someone who is younger than you. It can be reverse mentoring. So as long as you have a clear defined goal and you're supporting each other and growing, it's good enough. And the third reason is because we're told constantly that we should feel a certain way. If you think about media and you think about the news articles and you think about the stories that are there, unfortunately we're perpetuating a type of narrative to say you should feel like that.
Yeah.
Why do the headlines not say here are the women smashing it, another woman smashes her day job, check out the 5 women that are leading businesses, look at these women who are doing great things. Instead the headlines are women are being penalized for for being carers. There was another headline to say, oh, there's a dad that stayed at home with their kids. That's just what dads do. It doesn't need to be a headline, right? Another one saying women feel like imposters. Actually, we need to stop that narrative around women feel like this, women believe this, and we need to start elevating the great successes that are amongst us and sharing stories that don't often get attention to prove that we're all doing what we're doing and that we can do more, right? Like yourself, you're a woman-led business. That's amazing. A lot of markets, especially in South Asia, a lot of the founders or those who lead the markets are women. They lead their own businesses. They're just different types of definitions of businesses. So to answer your question, kind of, one simple sentence to summarize is we need to start changing the association of a narrative or the stories that we are learning from or the conversations that we are listening to or the articles that we're reading so that we can re-educate ourselves so that we're not drowning ourselves in the same narrative but we're exploring different options and opening our minds.
Yeah, my next question is how do you think women can own their confidence more in the workplace? But I think you already answered.
Just go for it. What do and I don't mean go for it. I don't think it's that simple for many people. So I think it's 3 things. One is always document your successes and your wins.
Yeah.
Regularly. If that's on a monthly basis, have an Excel, have a tracker. If you need one, I can send you one. But document your successes and remind yourself. 2, when you're in the workplace, every 3 months, take that tracker with your job description to your manager and say, here's what you asked me to do. Here's what I've done. Here's what I deserve.
Yeah.
You have to own what you deserve. No one can tell you that. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. And 3, and I think most importantly, is we have to be okay asking for help and leaning on one another. There was a time, especially in the last few years, where I think I felt very embarrassed or ashamed, saying, I don't understand. I'm not doing that well. I'm not good enough. I need some help. But when I started getting over my own fear of being embarrassed and starting asking for help and reaching out and leaning in, I mean, there is so many people who are willing to help you and who want to help you.
Yeah.
And I think for women, we have to get over that fear of, oh, they'll find out that I'm not good enough if I ask for help. Actually, what if the opposite happens? What if they know how amazing you are and they want to help you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just need to know how to ask, because if you do it properly, I think everybody is ready to share their own experience, especially if they are successful, because you are going to them for asking help to show you the right, Yeah, nice tips. Yeah.
Politics.
And you gave a great TED Talk about how failures come before resilience. Why do you think it's important for us to share and embrace our failures, especially as a woman?
Yeah, I think so. Ironically, 2019, I failed so hard that whole year that then did a TED Talk about it. And so I think that's one reason why you need to share your failures, is so that you can get a TED Talk at the back of it. Because if I didn't share my failure, I wouldn't have had the talk, right? But I
Yeah.
think more importantly, it's because if you think about it, especially Instagram, even this Instagram Live, you're seeing a snapshot of somebody's life, a snapshot. You're not
Yeah.
seeing the work that goes behind it. Obviously, you know, we talk about my book. I'm very excited. I've written a book. Like, it's mind blowing. But you haven't seen that I've spent 9 months writing this book without any paid. This is, you know, extra labor, let's say, and it's something I chose to do. There's been nights where you haven't been able to write. There's been times where it's been just rubbish what's been written. I have to start from scratch. I've asked for help. I've taken time off. So my point is that we're in this generation of being online and one having instant gratification of instantly having likes or shares or follows and having people praise us and, you know, show all their good things. But then we forget how much hard work and effort goes into it in the background. And so for me, it's really important for us to share our failures. One, because it shines a light on the truth. Two, because it alleviates any, you know, mysteries. It debunks any myths. Oh, you've launched a really successful business. How did you launch LMF Network? Well, I launched it after 2 years of struggling, having no money, being hacked twice, having no one showed up, and having someone steal our ideas twice, right? That's how I launched it. You need to know that so you know what mistakes not to make. And thirdly, it goes back to just being very transparent and honest in our approach. If you go online and you are following accounts that are constantly posting nice pictures or, you know, I'm just making this up, but let's say today you're having a really rubbish day and then you're going through your feed and you just see pictures of people on holiday and, you know, people who are going out for a walk and they're winning awards. You don't know when they've done that. You don't know how long it took them. You don't know when it happened.
Yeah.
But you're helping yourself in your mood in your life by comparing yourself. And that's what the third thing is there, that we as consumers have been enhanced into this like comparison culture, which is not healthy. And so therefore it's really important to fail and to share failures. Like end of last year, I was up for an award and I didn't get it. Like I was just rejected. I wasn't even put through to the shortlist. I shared that because I was like, look, for every award that I won, there's 10 awards that were not given to me. And that's fine. But people need to know that it's okay to not get something as long as you're going to get the back of it.
Yeah. And yeah, actually, I highly recommend everybody, by the way, to watch your TEDx talk. It's so inspirational, and I found many similarities with me. And you know, the thing that I really like about your articles, posts, or you know, here, I mean, you are focusing on subjects in common for everyone, and you are able to describe in the simple way, actually, as much as you can. I really I would like to thank you for this.
Thank you so much. It's super kind. It's super kind. And you know what you've just said is I've had a conversation this morning, and I'd like to reiterate that point and echo what you've just said is, what's the worst that can happen is that someone will read, will watch, will listen, and will be inspired by it, will feel comfort, will find themselves. That doesn't mean they have to like it, they don't have to share it. But when you share something online, you don't know who's reading, who's liking, who's watching, who's taking it in. And so for me, it's really important that I share, exactly to your point, you know, simple, powerful messages that you can do every day, but also that we don't find like gratitude or comfort in, oh, how many likes do I have? Because actually, you may just be reading it. and you may just be listening and you may just be taking it in. And then when you're ready to come and do something about it, you will. A lot of my, like, for example, last year in April, I started doing Instagram lives, then I stopped because I freaked myself out. I was like, oh, no one's joining them, so nobody wants to watch them. But actually, after doing it this year again, I've had comments saying, oh, well, Sonia, we've rewatched it and it was really good. And I was thinking, wow, if only I did that a year ago, where would I be now?
Yeah. Okay, I will keep in this my mind. My second experience. So, yeah, and finally, you have achieved so much already. What's next for you?
Such a great question. I definitely think I need a holiday, so I need to take some time off. I there's a couple of things. So one is I would love a talk show. So I think I'm going to try and make my own talk show and then see if there's a production company or a company that want to work with me in doing so. And fundamentally taking this but into a production studio or doing live streaming and having really similar conversations around real topics. The second thing is I want to write a kids book. Yes, I want to write stories for children who look and feel like you and me. So what I mean by that is just normal, non-white people living in white countries is what I'm trying to say. A great example being when I was younger and it was Christmas, for example, we used to go to church and then we used to go back home. And I come from, my family's fairly traditional, Pakistani, so we'd have like real Pakistani food, like, biryani and roti and chai and everything. But then I'd go to school after Christmas and people would be like, oh, what did you have for Christmas? Did you have a roast dinner? And I was like, yeah, I had a roast dinner. I didn't have a roast dinner until I was like 20 something, and I'm bred in the UK. So I think my point is that I just want real stories of real people's perspectives so that kids like me, when they're growing up, they don't feel embarrassed or ashamed, or they don't feel like they're different. They feel like, oh, actually, it's okay if we didn't have a roast dinner, but we had this. It's okay if we didn't have a birthday cake, but we had a birthday trifle. It's okay if our family didn't go to holiday in this rich country, but we went somewhere else. And I think that's what I want kids' books to be, is you went to Tesco, which is a supermarket in the UK. You went to Tesco as kids to get, beans and mash and cheese and pizza and pasta. I went to Tesco to get turmeric powder and chili powder and salt and meat and whatever my mom needed to make food. So I just want that to be real. So those are the two things that I personally would love to do and love to get involved in, because I definitely think, to your point, and this whole conversation is very much about representation, community, and confidence. One of the reasons why we don't feel confident in our own skin, whatever skin that may be, is because we're not told those stories when we're younger. And so we don't believe that we can become something because we're never told that it exists. So even Disney, I was obsessed with Disney when I was younger, but no one looked and felt like me. So for me to believe I was a princess, I had to be someone different. For me to be a businesswoman, I had to be someone different. When I was younger, I had to sometimes pretend to be someone different at school because that's what all the cool kids did. And I didn't do that. My family didn't do that. And so I just want the future generation, maybe my brothers are online watching this, but I'm very fortunate. I have two nieces. So I want them to grow up in a world where they believe that they can see themselves and it's completely fine.
Yeah, it's really nice projects. I will buy for my niece when you launch it. Definitely. Yeah. And Sonya, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here. And thank you everyone who joined us today. And thank you for being a part of our own journey. And we will be uploading the video on IGTV today, as well as on our YouTube channel. So you can watch our conversation with Sonya. And also, don't miss our final interview with fashion illustrator and image maker Alice Blackshaw next Friday at 3 p.m. My sister and my partner, Melike, will be hosting her. Thank you so much again, and stay tuned, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.